Hey you guys, what is up? Welcome back to another episode of Competitive Corner. It's been a while since we've done this, and this team is going to be the team called Cosmic Brownie. Now that makes no sense, but the title, that's just the thumbnail title. Really, this team is a Trick Room team based around Mega Camerupt. Now, Mega Camerupt is one of probably the most powerful Megas, I think, in the game so far. Obviously, you know, it's not as strong as, say, Mega Mawile or Mega Kangaskhan, but I do believe it is one of the top tier Megas. So let's get straight into the set. The main star of the set is Mega Camerupt, or regular Camerupt. As you can see, the EVs are 252, 252 in HP and special attack. This just maximizes everything that he can be doing. I don't think you can really make anything specific without losing the power that you want. So this is really probably the best move. I think even if you go 252, 252 in special defense, you won't be surviving any water type moves. Now I go for Quiet Nature, and I'll get onto the reasoning for that. I mean, obviously outside of it being Trick Room, but there is a very good reason to run as minimal speed as possible. So the set is Protect, Heat Wave, Earth Power, and Ancient Power. You have insane coverage with that. Ground and Rock does cover quite a lot, and then Heat Wave is pretty much the crux of what you're going to be using. Earth Power is much better against steel types because it is a single target, so something like Aegislash you want to take out as quickly as you can, so instead of Heat Waving, you can go for Earth Power. Now you can run Fire Blast or Flamethrower. I think it gets Flamethrower over Heat Wave if you do not like the miss or the spread. I personally adore the spread, especially with one of the teammates that this gets paired up with, mainly because it just hits hard, hits both Pokemon, and it does its job. So as for ability, I'd suggest either Solid Rock or Magma Armor on Camerupt. Magma Armor, I believe, prevents crits. I can just double check that really quick. I might be wrong about that, in which case I would not argue for that, but what Solid Rock is good for is if they catch you in on maybe not a stab, but however super effective move, you have a better chance of surviving it. And Magma Armor, actually, you know what, it doesn't prevent crits, but it does prevent you from being frozen, and switching in on Ice Beam is a good play because Ice Beamers usually are Ice type. Sometimes they're Ice type, sometimes they're Water type, but either way, you know, both of those abilities are really not bad. You can't really go wrong with either of those two. I put Solid Rock first because I think Solid Rock is probably a little bit more solid. Ha 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 ha. But yeah, and obviously the item is the Cameruptite. So just highlights, you know, it's really, really powerful with its stab. It can pretty much one-shot anything that's weak to it. You know, the Sheer Force boost makes it really, really, really powerful. All of its moves get boosted. Ancient Power is really nice because you can stay in against a Talonflame or a Charizard Y and pretty much one-shot them. Even though you don't have stab and it's only base 60, you can still one-shot them. You know, it actually is really bulky. Relatively bulky. You know, you're not going to be sitting in on a lot of hits because it only has base 70 HP, but it does have base 100 and 105 defense and special defense. You do have ways of surviving super effective stab moves. You know, Earthquake with its damage reduced, it can take it really well. You can stay in on a Landorus and get a Heat Wave off. Now, you have to be careful. If it's Life Orb, you're really not going to be able to take that Earthquake, but a more defensive Landorus, you can definitely take that Earthquake. You know, I think you can take a Garchomp's Earthquake, especially if they're not running Life Orb. Maybe even with Life Orb. I didn't do the calc for that, but yeah. And honestly, the reason why Mega Camerupt is so good in Trick Room is because it is literally one of the most competitively slow Pokemon in the entire game. It only has base 20 speed, and not much else outspeeds that. Base 20 speed, really, you're not being outsped by anything at all. I mean, I can do a real quick lookup, and even the things that you will be being outsped by, you don't care. You really do not care. Let's look at this. So, base 20 speed. If we're gonna look at this properly, wow, this is really, they don't even go down to base 20 speed on this Nugget Bridge speed tier. Really, the base speed, you're tied with Escavalier, Torkoal, and Ferrothorn. Now, just think about that for a second. What the hell can any of those things do to you? They can't one-shot you, and you can very easily one-shot them back. So, it's just such a perfect tier for Trick Room. So moving on, I mean, you even outspeed Amoonguss, which is really nice, because you can get that nice and powerful Heat Wave off, take out the Amoonguss, and avoid Spore. Alright, so moving on, our first Trick Room setter is going to be Dusclops. Now, Dusclops is definitely one of my favorite Trick Room setters. I honestly think it is the bulkiest Trick Room setter available, even bulkier than Cresselia, because honestly, I don't think there's a single move in this game that can one-shot Dusclops, and that's impressive. So to just start off with, I'm running 252 HP, 160 defense, and 96 special defense. What this lets us do, as you can see in the highlights, is take a Specs Aegislash Shadow Ball, and it only does 85%. It also can take a Mega Banette Shadow or Phantom Force, and it only does 77%. Those two are the strongest possible attacks in the game currently. That are super effective against Dusclops. I don't think, I mean, Mega Tyranitar is one base lower than Banette, but Phantom Force does have more base power, so it is the strongest, and the closest thing to that strength is a Banded Aegislash, and Shadow Claw only does about 67%, so the most you'll see is from a Mega Banette. So this thing is just ridiculously bulky. The moveset is Trick Room, Pain Split, Will-O-Wisp, and Nightshade, ability Frisk, item Eviolite. That is the key to this bulk. You start off with base 130 defenses. I'm not even kidding. Add Eviolite to that, your HP doesn't matter. And however, your HP being so low, it's base 50, is really, really useful. And that's because it goes with Pain Split. The lower your HP is, the more damage you do to your opponent and the more HP you gain back. So what I really like is when people burn me. This is a sand team, so I also have sand, and I get down to, let's say, 13 HP. I Pain Split with a max HP Kangaskhan, and you can see where this is going. So Frisk is really nice because it reveals items, and Pain Split really hurts. Hurst. That's really wrong. Hurts high HP opponents. So it's like, okay, so you're a normal type. Let's say you're a Chansey or a Blissey. Those have a lot of HP. You can't touch them with Nightshade. However, you can do a lot of damage with Pain Split, especially if you're below a quarter health. You can really rack up the damage there. Like I said, it is incredibly bulky, and if those two calcs right there don't prove it, I don't know what else I could do to show you that these are super bulky, super bulky. So that is Dusclops. Really useful, really good with the Will-O-Wisp as well. Really a fantastic setter. No way to prevent taunts though, and you can't run another. Well, I mean, you could try and run like something like Safety Goggles or Mental Herb. I don't recommend it. You are still pretty bulky, but you won't be taking these hits nearly as well. Aegislash will take you out. Banette will take you out. So you give up a little bit of bulk. You'll still take pretty much most attacks, but you also, you gain, some sort of advantage against other leads. But overall, I say Eviolite is your best bet. So moving on, we got Cresselia. Now, we've done Cresselia before. We've actually done Dusclops before as well. This is my personal EV spread, 220 HP. Actually, I think everything but the 252, 252s are my own EV spreads, so keep that in mind. 220 HP, 96 defense, 156 special attack, and 36 special defense. Sassy nature, of course. So moves are Trick Room, Helping Hand, Psychic, and Ice Beam. I think these are probably the perfect combination. Psychic takes out your Spores, such as Venusaur and Amoonguss, as well as covering fighting types, which is really crucial. As you'll see, this team is pretty weak to fighting. And Ice Beam is really nice. You know, say you have that Thunderous, you can get Trick Room up. He's gonna taunt you the next turn. Just straight up Ice Beam him. It's cool. You got it. You're cool. Helps you against dragons, helps you against Landorus. It's just overall a really good move. Ability is Levitate. You don't have another choice. You're stuck with it, but that's okay because it's really good of a move. It's really powerful. Immunity to ground types make you even better at countering things such as Garchomp and Landorus. It's really, really useful. Mental Herb, you know, I'm always a little tossed as to what to do for Cresselia. If I'm running a Psychic type Trick Room setter, I really like Safety Goggles because that means I can set up against Spore, and most Spore users are weak to Psychic, so it really works out. But at the same time, without Mental Herb, you know, if I was running with this set with an Aromatisse who has Aroma Veil, I wouldn't need Mental Herb because I have one Pokemon immune to Taunt, but I don't have any Pokemon immune to Taunt right now, so Mental Herb is very useful. Alright, so highlights. It's only one hit KO'd by 7 incredibly, almost nearly irrelevant Pokemon, and I'm gonna give you that list in a second. It's just ridiculous, you know. This thing, not nearly as bulky as Dusclops, obviously, because, you know, it is one hit KO'd. Whereas Dusclops, I'm pretty damn sure cannot be one-hit KO'd by anything. But here are the 7 Pokemon that can one-shot you, and I gotta tell you, it's a pretty silly list. Life Orb Crawdaunt with Knockoff, it needs the Life Orb, believe it or not. Choice Banded Durant with Hustle, and not only does Hustle decrease the accuracy, but it's only a 75% chance to KO, so keep that in mind. Life Orb Escavalier using Mega Horn. Heracross with Life Orb using Mega Horn. The only one I'd really honestly worry about that you can see the most is Mega Heracross. With Pin Missile will always kill you no matter what, unless you're running Citrus Berry, so that might be something that you want to consider. Mega Sharpedo has a chance with a 6% chance with Crunch. And Scizor needs a Choice Band to have a 43% chance to one-hit KO you with Bug Bite. That's pretty awesome. Those are really nice, nice numbers. You don't see that very often. So Cresselia is uber bulky. Now, Cresselia can't really do very much to those Pokemon in general outside of Heracross. It does hit Heracross super effectively. So I wouldn't really recommend staying in against them regardless, even if you're 100% sure you'll survive them. I'm sure if you went fully physically defensive, you will survive these. I just made this as even as I can. There's not a single special Pokemon that can one-shot you. That's because the strongest is Specs Aegislash, and it doesn't really hit that hard. So, that all said, I really like Cresselia. It's a very, very fantastic Pokemon. And let's move on. So, Tyranitar provides the Sand. Now, normally, honestly, the Sand doesn't really help Camerupt. The Sand helps the rest of my team. Not my Trick Room setters, but the other two that you'll see in the back. Camerupt really can go either Sun or Sand. Sand doesn't boost him, but it affects his opponents, and chip damage is nice. It breaks sashes, and all that. But what Tyranitar is really here for is this team is really weak to Charizard without him. So I went 252 HP, 252 attack. What this lets me do is I can survive pretty much anything a Mega Salamence wants to throw my way, because this is when I made this team when Mega Salamence was actually pretty relevant and used a lot. It can survive whatever he wants to do, and most of the time one-hit KO with Ice Punch, even at -1. So that's ridiculous, alright? Assault Vest and Sand is just a ridiculous combo. You put them together and oh my god, you do not take anything. If you're in Sand and Charizard somehow goes for Solar Beam, it'll only do about 30% to you. And that's max special attack modest. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. If you're in Sun and he goes for Solar Beam, guess what? It's still not gonna take you out. Rock Slide will one-hit KO it 100% of the time. So that's really nice. Crunch is really good for Cresselias and things weak to it, like, you know, Meowstic, although you don't really see Meowstic very much anymore. And Fire Punch really covers things like Ferrothorn, who can be a pain or a thorn in your side. I had to make that joke. Or Mawile. You can't really trade with Mawile because it has stab and super effective. You can take an Iron Head and I believe a play rough at least once, but you're not going to be able to KO it with Fire Punch. And really highlights, you know, Sand and AV makes you the ultimate Zard-Y killer. It cannot touch you. It also makes you completely immune. Not immune, but you basically just beat Talonflame as well. Sand stab close combat, you pretty much can survive any super effective hit. I think even some close combats you can survive. I'm pretty sure you can survive a Drain Punch from Conkeldurr. You're a lot bulkier than you would think you are. You're really bulky. And like I said, it has really good damage output. Even at -1, you can still one-hit KO Salamence. I think if it's an offensive Lando, you can take it out. If it's not, you're gonna have a little bit of difficulty. But if it's not offensive, it's not gonna be taking you out with Earthquake. So you're totally cool there. So moving on, Ferrothorn is honestly one of my favorite late-game Pokemon. So first of all, I'm running 252 HP, 50 attack, 74, I believe that says, defense, and 132 special defense. I have no idea what this EV spread does. I've been using it ever since I've played VGC. It works for every situation I know, so I haven't changed it. I don't know what it does, but I've never had a problem with it, so take my word for it. The moves you are running are Protect, Worry Seed, Leech Seed, and Seed Bomb. Ability Iron Barbs and Rocky Helmet. So basically, this thing here just dominates physical Pokemon. You need something to switch in on someone that will make contact, it's Ferrothorn. You want to burn someone's Fake Out, it's Ferrothorn. Basically, anything that doesn't have Sap Sipper, you can pretty much win against. You can trade with things like Mega Kangaskhan and Mega Mawile. Sans, you know, fire type moves, but even then, Mega Kangaskhan really doesn't want to hit you. It loses more than half of its HP per hit, and especially with something like Worry Seed, where once you Worry Seed it, even a Fire Punch isn't going to really be taking you out, because it's not going to hit twice. He doesn't have the highest of attack. The reason why he's so strong is he gets a free Choice Band, but honestly, you can take a lot of damage with this thing. And then you have Sustain with Leech Seed. Worry Seed's really nice because if you have something that really depends on its ability, like Mega Mawile, for example, or Mega Salamence, or most of the Megas that use their abilities, you know, like Camerupt too, but don't stand against Camerupt. I promise you, you don't want to do that. And it also has amazing late game potential. If you get rid of a Fire type attack, Fire type user or whatever, they really won't have any way to take you out. A strong Fighting type move can take you out, but it's a lot easier to survive that than a Fire type move. So once you get rid of the Fire, just set up Leech Seeds, sit there, and stall. I've won so many games where it's like 2-1 or 3-1 just because of Ferrothorn alone, and they had no way to hit it super effectively. And there's a little bit of a debate going on in my head about Seed Bomb or Power Whip, or even Gyro Ball. Gyro Ball's good because, or Iron Head too, those two are good because nothing's immune to those moves, and they're still stabbed, so it's pretty good, it's pretty solid, and things that resist Iron Head, not really gonna be beating like offensively anyway, because they're usually fire types. But the reason why I like Seed Bomb is because, first of all, this is a sand team, so I'm a little weak to water, so Seed Bomb helps me with that. But on the other hand, Seed Bomb lets me hit not as hard as Power Whip, but I don't lose the trade because I'm not getting Rocky Helmet damage. So this is really good at killing other Ferrothorns, for example. So finally, last but not least, we've got Cradilly, and Cradilly is honestly the weakest member of this team. Really bulky, so we'll go over it. 252 HP, 252 special attack, and 4 special defense. It doesn't matter where you put that 4, just don't put it in speed or attack, you don't need it. So defense or special defense, whatever you want, I don't think it really matters. We're going to be seeing Protect, Energy Ball, Sludge Bomb, and Earth Power with an option for Ancient Power. Ancient Power is Stab, however, it's base 60. You don't have a buff for it, so it's not like Mega Camerupt's Ancient Power, it doesn't really hit that hard. You can't even one-shot a Gengar at +1 with it, which is really, really sad. But if you need something more for Charizard or a Talonflame, it's an option. Sludge Bomb's probably the better because not only does that help you with... basically, Sludge Bomb turns you into the ultimate rain killer because you have the ability to stop Ludicolo with Sludge Bomb. And you want to be able to kill rain with this team because Mega Camerupt hates rain. Honestly, even if I had a different team where I had dedicated rain killers, this team is the best at killing rain. For a team made around a 4 times weak to water Pokemon, it decimates rain, and that's mainly because of Ferrothorn and Cradily, as well as Assault Vest Tyranitar. So I give it Storm Drain. That's pretty self-explanatory. It lets you stay in with Camerupt, get off like an Earth Power on something, and switch out your other Pokemon in order to drain in that Water-type move, get a +1, and scare the hell out of them. But don't worry, you really won't be doing too much damage. The item choice is up to you. I personally prefer Chople Berry since I know I'm not really going to be doing too much damage. I'd rather be able to survive like a close combat from Terrakion than hit it to its sash and then die. So honestly, I'd go for Chople Berry, but Life Orb is a solid option. You will get some good damage output with that. Not as great, but still pretty good. And like I said, you know, with Chople Berry, it does survive close combats pretty easily. Sand gives it such impressive bulk, and it supports Camerupt like a boss. You can keep Camerupt in on rain teams and then just kind of sweep, and it's lovely. No one on a rain team really wants to take an Earth Power Sans Ludicolo. And Ludicolo you can beat with Sludge Bomb here, especially if you switch, if there's like a Politoed Ludicolo lead and you have your Camerupt, don't switch out the Camerupt, because they're gonna double Scald, hopefully. So you switch in the Cradily, you take the double Scald, you get the +2, you kill the Politoed, or the Ludicolo probably, because Ludicolo's a bigger threat, and you go from there. I mean, honestly, it comes together so well. Some options that you can have, Cradily can be swapped out for Gastrodon. Gastrodon is pretty solid, has more offense than Cradily, a lot more. It's about base 90 compared to its base like 75 or so. So it's going to hit a little harder. It has pretty good stab. It has Earth Power and Scald, which is nice, and Ice Beam. It does get Ice Beam, which is really, really useful. But you're going to have a little harder time taking out rain teams, which is a little unfortunate, but you do have the Ferrothorn. As for anything else, I'm trying to think what else you could possibly use. I'm trying to think of my league team, because I use this in Lithio. But I can't think of what my other subs are, which is not good, because I kind of need them. But I think I have Aromatisse in there as a backup Trick Room setter. She's pretty good at what she does, makes it impossible to get taunted. Which is very nice, especially paired up with like something like Ferrothorn. Really, really lovely. And I think that's about it. So you can really play around with this team, use whatever you need. But if you are going to be running Camerupt, I do suggest you have some way to absorb water-type moves, preferably as Storm Drain. There's not very many good options. I think there's only about 3, Maractus, Cradily, and Gastrodon. And they all have their own sets of problems. Gastrodon honestly might be the best Storm Drain user, because it hits harder, but on the other hand, it's not nearly as bulky as Cradily. So you're going to have to play around with your teams and see how you want it. This is how my team came out. I really like it. It's probably the best team for the 15 format that I've made. It works really, really well. And yes, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I hope to see you guys at the next episode. Peace.